No, aloha everyone. Joshua Hayes at bigwavetrading.com. There is a lot to discuss following this most recent trading week. It's not crazy yet, but quite a sell-off overall. And basically, it's not so much the percent loss or the magnitude of the selling, it's how it happened. The QQQ sell off, this is just your typical sell off. Now, normally this happens in September, October, happening earlier this year. That being said, this one's pretty violent. And looking at this high to this low, look at the volume. Do you guys happen to remember the alligator mouth discussion that I had? Top jaw, lower jaw, volume falling off while we rally, and then eventually the alligator clamps its jaw shut. Well, that's what it's doing on the QQQ. And as you can see, volume is just growing. And today, another distribution day. Are we extremely oversold yet? Not yet. I'm not quite looking for a reversal yet, though I still have to check one metric. I do look at put call on multiple areas, including Thinkorswim, but I always check the IBD market surge or IBD digital general market page, and I look at that put and call. I got to see it now at this point get over 1 to even think about a reversal. But we do have the VIX over 20. We're still not over 30 yet. This is a weekly chart. These are my extreme levels. You'll notice that I have them marked off for the super extreme levels at 40. This is normally what I'm looking for a bottom, is for us to get over 40. But in the 2022 bottom, we only got over 30. So now kind of 30 is my new metric, unless we enter some kind of like panic sell off. Then I'll start looking for 40 again. But either way, I got to see more to look for that reversal and or price action confirmed. So the QQQ looking pretty ugly. The QQEW, how's that one looking? So much for that. We were all happy about the broadening strength. Look at that relative strength line. That tells you everything. There's the SPY rolling over, but look how far above the 200 SMA and 500 EMA we are. And guys, any kind of pullback below the 500 EMA or the 200 SMA, as long as these lines continue to uptrend, I'm buying heavy. I go very heavy here. I go extremely heavy here. I love the reclaim plays of these lines on the SPY, QQQ, and then my favorite ETF long term is SMH, semiconductors. I'm not worried about this sell off in my long term portfolios at all. I welcome it. Get below the 200, keep this line moving, start to get some confirmation that we're finding a bottom. Buy stop right above the 200 SMA and especially the 500 EMA. I just don't have any fear. But for swings and position trades, things are a little shaky. I like to see the IBD 50 leading, and instead, this is what it looks like. Look at that relative strength line. That looks terrible. Just like the RSP, though, that's holding up, but the QQEW relative strength line, yeah, I forgot to show the RSP, but the RSP is holding up very well with the SPY, but that QQEW relative strength line, that IBD 50 relative strength line, and that ARC relative strength line tells me everything I need to know about this market. More importantly, that IWM breakout, wow, guys, this breakout fake out on this day on that volume was extremely red flaggish to me. Members know we talked about it. The follow through selling, not good. And then the scalp down to come back into the base that we just broke out of. I don't know if I've quite seen anything like this. All I will say, while this was looking so much better than that fake out breakout in 2021, see how the relative strength line was declining. The market was bullish, and then it broke out, and everybody was so bullish. But I kept telling everybody that weak relative strength line, yeah, I liked this move so much more. This finally looked like the move. But the relative strength line kind of told you, hey, I'm not the leader, but still, I really thought that this was the move. Big fake out, suck out. And very incredible to see. Very, amazing to see. It's even more pronounced to me on the IWC, the microcap. Look at that fake out, breakout reversal. Some pretty incredible stuff, guys. So, with all of that being said, Obviously, on the short term, swings and position trades have been halted. That being said, every single swing trade that I size up on, and the signals came right before. So you give me this IWM, IWC, whatever move on this day, whenever I got all of these quote the now grade A signals that I increased size on, I would have loaded up on them, and they all paid off for short whiles. I got to go off the top of my head, but GHM, this is one that I obviously loaded up on after this. You'll see why. You'll notice a pattern. Look at the volume surge and look at the BOP, okay? You'll notice a lot of green BOP, max green BOP, volume surge on all these, if I can remember them all. But GHM, taking profits on the way up, it still doesn't look terrible, does it? And that's the whole point. VIRC, from the volume truncation, and the white arrows are on the chart. So you got the white arrows on the chart. GHM, where's the white arrow on GHM? Oh, all the way back here when we first went long. So, but the load, the major position was here, and GHM is working. VIRC still holding up. APEI, it's not great, but the load was here on this signal, and it still worked pretty well before rolling over. And when you consider all that's happening in the market, a negative 1% loss isn't that big of a deal. And let's not forget, from our first buy, we're still up 29%. So, and then PRAX was probably the biggest one. From this signal to this high, 38%, and still, look at it, still, despite the market sell-off. So everything that I took large positions on swing position size, basically worked. If they didn't work, they failed, and they didn't leave with much of a loss. So ICLR, taking profits on the way up first off, but by the time it failed, it wasn't even a 2% loss. This was the worst one out of all the stocks that I really increased size on. So things aren't terrible out there. Things are working well, I would say, for me, for our members. We're going into the right stocks. I haven't recommended size in really anything else. We've switched from mega caps to small caps, but right now we don't have any signals. Now, I did get a good signal in a stock 2 days ago, WLDN. This is from my perfect speculator scan. I got this pocket pivot point signal with that volume surge, and you'll notice all the green BOP in the chart with all the tall volume bars, since this ER beat where they beat on the top and bottom, then they beat on the top and bottom. Well, you can't guarantee it they're going to beat on the top and bottom. And even if I would have taken this trade, yes, would it have triggered me in? Yep, by 1 cent. It would have hit my buy stop. And if it would have filled me, I would have been shaken out of most of it. Well, my final stop would have been below here. So it would have ran it. It would have ran it. But I didn't get long because it had earnings in 2 days. Buyable gap up, though. Perfect buyable gap up. So this was a previous high. This is the buyable gap up. Beautiful chart. Since I'm not going to take buyable gap ups with the market looking like it is, I'm looking for WLDN to pull back and give me an entry, and I would love to take that. But this is a chart. While it's not like PRAX whenever I went long, while it's not like VIRC when I went long, this is still a high quality stock. And they beat on the top and bottom line again today, and I believe they have almost 20% sales growth. So there are good stocks out there. Also, I saw Melly today. Melly is a leader. This had a good day. I just wouldn't get long stocks here on the swing side. GDDY, I saw a lot of defensive stocks, PSA, EXR, Post, UNH. Look at XLP, XLU. This just screams defense. But there was also BFAM. But once again, these don't scream bull market stocks, right? EGO, gold stocks, real estate stocks, food stocks, consumer staple stocks. And so that's about all you need to know about the current market environment short term. So that's where we're at short term. Let's see if I'm looking at anything getting to telechart version 22. I have long-term scans. These are stocks I like super long-term, like for 5, 20 years. There's only 2 currently in a weekly squeeze. Then I also have this scan, which is looking at the best of the best. You got to be a leading stock, and you got to have revenue sales growth of at least 30% to make this scan. LNC and NTRS are more insurance bank, kind of like they're just in the middle of it. But you have RBA, TDW, APO, and TOS. So really there's only 4 stocks in the scan currently. And what it's looking for is it's looking for leading stocks. They got to be in a weekly squeeze. So NTRS, the buy stop would go above this recent high. Sorry that it's so noisy, guys. Trust me, price is all that matters. Let's just keep this simple. Look at price. Tossed, buy stop would go above this high in a good market. I don't know about this market. I'm not doing that yet. But hey, these are the leaders you want to focus on because they're holding up. APO, no more. And I told you, the members know. We went over this one yesterday. It's wedging in the weekly. There is no base. Failed. So right now it's not in play. LNC is not in play. NTRS would be above the recent highs. RBA is finally pulling back, but once again, it wedged. It did a breakout, but now it's reversing. It's just not the right market, guys. But these are some of the stocks I'm watching. This is TDW on a weekly squeeze. How does SNPS looks? Well, it wouldn't do it yet, but whenever it firms up into a base, a buy stop can go above the high. Same with MedP. So these are your leading stocks that are holding up while we pull back. So I'm going to keep all these on watch. Now, for long-term portfolios, that's where all these crazy ass moving averages come into play. This is just red light means stop, green light means go. TTM trend momentum. We'll just look at the big ones again. Let's see what I'm SPY. So we're right here at the 100. This is the 150, 200 EMA, 200 simple, 500 EMA. TTM trend momentum is still down, triple red, and we're not oversold. So I'm not looking for a reversal trade in SPY yet. QQQ, we're at the 150, but TTM trend momentum's down, triple red. We are oversold, so I'm looking for a hammer like this. I'm not looking for a gap up like we had here when we went oversold, then came out of oversold with the flip in the TTM trend momentum for one day. Look at that gap up. That negates any kind of reversal signal. I need to see a signal like this, a signal like this off the lows, a signal like this, something like this. I can't see that kind of gap up. So QQQ is on watch for a potential reversal. IGV, we're oversold, so this is on watch for a reversal at those moving averages. IWM not interested, ARC not interested, SMH looking for a reversal. We're oversold, but we're triple red. TTM trend momentum's down. We still don't look good, but we're getting to that 200 SMA, 500 EMA, like I said, always comes into play. FFTY, no interest, and that's it for the ETFs that I want to review. So right now, short term, very bearish, but looking for those reversals. And I want to let everybody know in the long-term portfolios, members also know, what was I doing this morning? I bought a little bit of QQQ, I bought a little bit of SPY, and I bought a little bit of SMH along with a brand new insurance stock on the caution side in my long-term portfolio. Those holds are for 5 to 20 years. But I'm not afraid of buying the stocks in the ETFs that I really like on the way down. We're nowhere near a condition where I want to start loading into SMH, loading into QQQ, loading into SPY, or names like NVIDIA, AVGO. We're not there yet, but I'm watching them all. Amazon pulling back. I'm watching it now with that reversal today. I'm very interested in buying this dip, especially if it can reclaim the 200 SMA. But the biggest problem with all of these dip buys right now is we're only in the start of August. We're in a seasonally bearish period of time, August, September, October. I prefer to do the most of my buying after October once we hit this time period. I have no problem nibbling on the way down, but I really don't want to load until we get extremely oversold, get extreme fear in the market, and or get past this October period. All right, everybody, I'm going to wrap it up there. Have a lovely rest of your weekend. Sorry the video lesson was so long, but there's so much to talk about. See you back here on Monday.